All right, so today we're really diving deep. Edward Patrick Kranz. And it's, well, you know how you think of an artist's journey? This isn't that. Not exactly.
Right.
This is Boeing. This is intricate bookbinding.
Yeah.
And just for kicks, a little coffee-infused art, just to mix things up.
It's not your average resume, that's for sure. But that's what makes Kranz so interesting. It's not just the different things he's done. It's what it says about, like, how fields connect that you'd never think would. You wouldn't think Boeing engineer, master bookbinder, much in common.
No, not at all.
But Kranz, he's like, hold my coffee.
Seriously.
Yeah.
It really gets you thinking about those skills, right? The ones you take with you. You've got this guy, he's managing the building of 777s at Boeing.
Complex projects.
Exactly. Those things are massive. And then that same, laser focus, the way he solves problems, it's all there in his bookbinding.
And don't underestimate the softer skills either. Leading teams at a place like Boeing, that's not easy. Communicating, navigating, that's got to play right into how he runs his own studio. BOOKFORGE, it's called. And he mentors apprentices, too.
So he's taking, the best parts of two totally different worlds and mashing them up.
Pretty much.
That's wild. And speaking of wild, we have got to talk about this coffee art. Coffee on canvas. I mean, come on.
It's playful.
Absolutely.
It's unexpected, and it tells you he's not afraid to just try things, Push a little, which, that's Kranz all over. Think about it. He jumps into bookbinding, early 2010s? Way before all the YouTube tutorials made everything look easy.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
This was DVDs and books. That's how he taught himself.
Which, side note, how much harder is that when it's something as niche as bookbinding? It's not like picking up knitting from a YouTube video.
Exactly.
Right.
This is deep dive territory. Most people wouldn't even know where to start. But it shows you he's determined, right? He wants to learn. He finds these DVDs, these books by, Michael L. Chrisman.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
R.C. Middleton, heavy hitters in the bookbinding world. He goes all in on the history, the techniques. It's not just, oh, how do I bind a book? It's what's the art behind it.
And that passion, it doesn't go away, it seems like, with Kranz. Mastering something, that's step one. Now he's running BOOKFORGE, the apprentices, the workshops, even a podcast. He's not just a craftsman at this point. He's
Right.
protecting this whole ancient art form.
And that's where it gets even more interesting. He's not just building a business. He's building a culture. He wants people to love bookbinding the way he does, wants it to keep going, especially now in this whole digital world we live in.
So let's talk about this BOOKFORGE place. What is it about this studio that makes it so different? What's going on in there? So we've got this amazing craftsman, right? But what's that actually translate to? What's it like being at BOOKFORGE?
Okay, picture this, right? You walk in and there's that smell, the leather, the paper, and this quiet kind of creative energy. It's not just a workshop. It's where Kranz's whole deal comes to life. You'll find him restoring some antique book super carefully using all those old school techniques.
Wow, yeah.
But then he's also making these wild, one-of-a-kind bindings for people. Custom stuff.
So it's like old methods, but a totally modern eye.
Exactly. And it's not just about how it looks either. Back in 2020, he restores these Victorian photo albums, right? McBriar family, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't just fixing books. That was holding history in your hand.
Oh, for sure. Family history even, saving that from just disappearing. And you know what else hits like that? The COVID book, the one he did for Erie County.
Oh, yeah.
Talk about design with actual, weight to it.
It's incredible, right? Every choice means something. You've got the little COVID crowns on the spine, just this stark reminder of, everything. And then the end bands, the gold and blue ones.
Right.
Usually they just protect the spine, but here, gold, that's the virus. Blue, that's the people fighting it, on the front lines. Powerful stuff.
It really gets you, just thinking about it. Every detail, he thought about it. You could never get that from some factory. It takes someone like Kranz, an actual artist, to make something that loaded with meaning.
And that comes from somewhere,
What?
Remember we were talking about Michael L. Chrisman? He taught Kranz. But get this, Chrisman. He learned from Bernard C. Middleton. Bookbinding royalty, basically. So it's more than just, here's how you sew the pages together. It's this whole philosophy of craftsmanship passed down for, ever.
Wow. It's like this torch being handed off. And he's not keeping it to himself either. He could just be doing his own thing, but he's got the apprentices, he teaches, there's the podcast.
He believes in this stuff.
Yeah.
Really believes in keeping these old ways alive, Especially now. But BOOKFORGE, it's not just about the books either. It's people. That whole third place thing, remember we mentioned that?
Yes. Tell me about that. What does that even mean?
Okay, so First place,
Fair.
that's your home.
Okay.
Second place, that's work. But then you need that in-between spot. The place you go to connect with people, to get creative, just be part of something. That's the third place.
So not just a bookstore, not just a workshop,
Yeah.
but both kind of mashed together.
Exactly. Break down the walls, let those worlds collide. Krantz, he sees BookForge as that for people. Book nerds, art people, whoever, as long as they're up for a good conversation. Live music, exhibitions, who knows, maybe even a good debate breaks out. It's a big goal.
Ambitious, but I mean, this is the DVD bookbinding guy.
Right.
I wouldn't put it past him. And the best part, he's not waiting around for it to be done before he starts sharing. The podcast, From the Desk of the Bookbinder, that's out there right now. Like building that community online in the meantime. Smart, actually.
Totally. Especially since the Dream Bindery is still, in progress. But this way, he's connecting with people, getting them excited about books, about binding. It's like a third place, but, virtual.
For now.
And the exhibitions. We haven't even gotten to his own art yet. Besides the coffee, obviously. I need to hear more about that. Okay, seriously, we have to circle back to the coffee on canvas. That's not your typical art supply.
But doesn't it just fit him perfectly? It's playful, right? Like he sees the potential in something, even if it's just your morning cup of coffee. And the titles of his shows, Coffee Culture, Thinking Outside the Cup.
Coffee Blues. I love that one. It's like he's making a joke, but he's also really serious about it at the same time.
Totally. It's like, look around, find the cool stuff and the normal stuff. And that's in his bookbinding, too.
100%. He'll use anything. Copper, X-rays. I even saw one with fish leather. Wild.
No way.
So cool looking, though. And you think about it, these aren't just books at that point. They're like sculptures almost.
Works of art, which reminds me, he's got that exhibition coming up, right? 2025. Books as objet d'art, something like that.
Yeah. His first artist book series, that's what he's calling it. Going to be amazing, I bet. But get this. He wants BookForge to be a space for other artists too, not just him. Imagine that. Their work up on the walls right there in Erie.
So cool. Like that ripple we were talking about, it all spreads out. And it all comes back to that third place idea. Art, conversation, maybe some actual good coffee, all in one spot.
Exactly. And not just the finished product, It's the behind the scenes, the talking, the ideas bouncing around, like those bookbinding workshops he does.
Yeah.
At the studio, at the library. That's planting seeds right there. Gets people into it.
It's really something, How much one person can do if they're passionate enough. Patrick Kranz, Boeing, coffee art, master bookbinder, community builder. I mean, come on. Who knew?
Right. And it makes you think, in this whole digital world, there's something about this stuff, the old ways, that still matters. You know what I mean? Being with people, making things.
Like those stories that are meant to be on a page, not a screen. And who knows, maybe this whole BookForge thing, the way he's doing it, maybe that's the future. Something to think about, for sure. If you want to learn more about Patrick Kranz's work, we'll link to his website and his podcast, From the Desk of the Bookbinder, in the show notes. Definitely worth checking out. And until next time, happy reading, everyone.